Everyone needs someone, and everybody loves somebody, but not just anyone. If you ain't looking, you might just as well be blind, 'cause it's so easy to love, but it's so hard to find. People say that's just the way it goes.
Noise.
Yeah, it's a... Well, it looks like a scrambler.
It's actually the first Big Four manufactured scrambler that were ever made.
Really? So what's it actually called? A Honda what?
It's a CL72.
CL72.
You took a road bike and you went to a frame man and says, I want this and this to it.
Put it together.
And mudguards, what have you, you could get the bits, and that's what people did.
Yeah.
With flat tracking as well.
Love flat tracking.
Only Mr. Honda decided make one, and he got some things brilliant and some things terrible. It's only got 3 inches of suspension travel. For an off-road bike, that's not great.
You've got a nice plate on the bottom though.
Those are the wrong forks. They're off the right bike, but I had to buy a spur bike to put this one right. And this model came in 3 frame colours. Standard black, blue or red.
Now my memory ain't that great, right? So did you say that was a Honda what?
It's a CL72, and they went from 62 until about 65 when Honda, to match something that were happening in America, overboard them by 4 mil and made a CL77. Looks exactly the same, but it's 305cc. But the thing is, these didn't come to England, they were for the American and Japanese market. But in England we had the CB72.
Oh yeah, I remember CB7. Yeah.
Same it's the same engine, except it had 5 gears rather than this one's 4. And it had a rev counter and a starter motor. But other than that, the same. And then
This is quite a
the 77 ran until about 69, and then they redesigned them all in 69 and they brought out a new one. They were still called CL, but they had the CC on then, so it was CL250, CL 300.
Right.
And they did a 360 and a 460 as well.
You know a lot about them.
If I've spent a lot of time staring at sites trying to make it work, which it is now, but it needs reboring actually.
How long you had that then?
A bit over 2 years, but it's obviously not been riding all that time. You see, I got it at start, it were a daft thing, it were them compulsive things, and I got it at the start of lockdown, and I had no work keeper bike when I bought it. But a guy up street had a garage we were doing out with, so I said, can I put it in there? He said, yeah. But we were all meant to keep apart, and every time I went to work on it, he'd come out, he were bored, he'd come out for a look and I'd be doing something, and his head would appear here. And this guy's like 70, and I thought, I don't want him, I won't live with myself if he can't.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
So I couldn't even get all the work done that I wanted. But eventually it's there, you know, we're up and running.
That's so cool, man.
It'll get there.
Thanks for sharing that story with us.
I'll look out for you tomorrow.
Big daddy, beautiful sight, coming in quick, a little low in time. Gonna catch you just right, pull you up to outer space. Wasn't that a good day? Red guitar, purple haze, stick glove and the ball was all you needed. How you did? Sing me back, mama, sing me back. 'Cause I give it all and more.
In 1962, Bud Ekins, along with Honda, devised a publicity stunt to ride the CL72 all the way down the length of Baja, some 900 miles, just to test the bike's off-road capabilities. Unfortunately, Bud was unable to make the mission due to being contracted out to Triumph, so he handed the reins over to his brother, Dave Ekins, who himself was a very, very experienced motorcycle racer. Dave set about recruiting Bill Robinson Jr., whose father actually owned Hollywood Honda, and together they planned their trip. Dave and Bill would have to cope with searing temperatures. 2/3 of the 1,000-mile journey from Tijuana down to La Paz was off-road. No mean feat in itself. They had to employ the service of an aeroplane which could stop further up the line so that they could refresh themselves and the bike, petrol, food, water, etc. The chase plane was even flown by one of the Honda directors of the time. Everything had to be planned out. Dirt tracks were studied from aerial photography. Remember, these guys had no sat-nav, and really there was very, very little in between them and the finish line. When it started to get dark and the clouds came over, making it very difficult to navigate via the stars, which they had been doing, they decided the only thing they could do was just hunker down and get some sleep. When they woke up in the morning, they knew which side the sun rose, so if this was the east and this was the west, they set a 90-degree angle and followed the Baja Peninsula all the way down to La Paz. When Dave and Bill finally arrived at La Paz, they'd done the ride in around 39 hours and 56 minutes. They decided that they would use a telegram as a way of recording their actual times. Ever since 1962, things have been gradually increased year after year so that people become more adept at what they're doing. The machines have gotten better. They even now do a thing where they actually set traps year after year to actually catch out some of the riders, as we see there. One thing's for certain, the Baja 1000 is certainly an entertaining race, and if it hadn't have been for the attempts like those early pioneers of Dave Ekins along with Bill Robinson Jr. riding that CL72, we may never have what we have now.
Hold on. See you, Gerry! He's awesome.